Good morning. This is the largest media briefing I've ever done, and I'm too tall for the platform. But thank you for coming. To the Honorable Deputy Minister for the Department for Small Business Development, Mafaku, Ms. Zoleka Kapa, the DG of the department and the team from the department, Mr. Lindom Kuman, the Board of Directors of SIFA, led by Mr. Justice Kanyabo, and the CEO of SIFA, led by Mr. Slakalane Mulepo and his team, and the management team of SIDA and the board of SIDA, and in the absence of the CEO of SIDA, who has a bereavement from home, I see the executive team. It's here, she's just lost her mother, and her father, our condolences to the father. We're at the Center for Entrepreneurship and Incubation of the Ekiruleni Tibet College, Katlehong campus, because we committed that SMMEs must have access to strategic resources, such as skills, knowledge networks, finance, and access to facilities and platforms, amongst others, that will enable them to nurture their innovative ideas. This is one of the facilities or platform where we nurture entrepreneurship, and it is not only available to students, but the broader business community of Katlehong and adjacent areas. It is significant for us to hold this media briefing in a township where we've already invested resources to bring technology, infrastructure, and skills for targeted groups. During my maiden budget speech in July 2019, we announced specific goals and targets that will guide our work for the term of office of the 6th administration. We are here to announce progress we have made towards the goals of improved access to finance, including initiatives to make SMME finance more accessible and affordable. The plan is to make the cost of money less expensive, starting with the cost of SIFA financing. Access to finance is impacted by a variety of factors, but for us there are 4 fundamental determinants. The first one is location of our service centers and time it takes to approve applications for funding. Second is the requirements imposed on SMMEs. Third, complex application processes. And fourth, the cost of finance. On the location of our service centers and time to take to communicate the funding decision, we say whereas SIFA offices are located across all provinces with a presence of 82 offices across the districts, majority of our SMMEs still do not know about SIFA and where to find them. As we improve our communication about SIFA and the various funding instruments available through them, we have decided to avail SIFA and SIDA services in all our incubators and municipal offices through the LED units. The incubators and LED units will be supported by regional offices of the 2 agencies. The training for LED officers will commence for the districts plus the Metro of Etequini, where the President has already launched the district development model, and we are engaging with SALGA on a national rollout program. In addition, application for funding through SIFA is available online, and the address is www.sifa.org.za. SIFA has started to improve on the time it takes to make and communicate funding decisions. For the online application, an applicant is guaranteed to receive feedback on the completeness of the application form within 2 days of submitting the application form. If the form is hand-delivered at the SIFA offices, an applicant should get immediate feedback. As a start, we are committing SIFA to a turnaround time of 20 days on bridging finance and 30 days on term loans from the date of submitting a complete application to communicating a funding or non-funding decision to the applicant. This is but a start as we continue to work on improving the SIFA turnaround times to match those of private banks. Our goal is to have SIFA boost turnaround times of 5 days on bridging finance and 10 days on term loans within the next 3 years. Another major impediment to access funding by SMMEs, it is the requirement to provide unencumbered funds for ranges between 10% to 15% of the funds applied for. In this regard, SIFA does not have a requirement for unencumbered funds, but require operational of the owners in the business. Incidences where small business have to pay consultants to complete applications for funding are all too common in our country, and this has served to discourage entrepreneurs who have viable businesses or business ideas but lack money to pay for consultants. During the department's budget vote address, we committed ourselves to adopt business templates that are currently used by NEF as we coordinate the development of common templates with the IDC, Land Bank, and CIFA. Our view remains that the adoption of common templates for funding application by DFIs will improve access to funding and lessen the burden of doing business by SMMEs. We also believe that when these templates are known and available, DFIs will improve the turnaround time in the approval of funding applications. The common template is ready. CIFA, CIDA, and NEF will start to use the common template while the Land Bank and IDC are finalizing their processes to adopt it, where SMME applications are concerned. This critical measure that should significantly reduce red tape for SMEs in terms of time it takes to develop business plans for various DFIs, but this measure will also reduce the financial cost of sourcing support from DFIs. On the cost of finance, during the June SONA response, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Madame Cyril Ramaphosa, announced that we will introduce a blended financing model with full adoption over the next 3 years, commencing in the current financial year, which is 2019-2020. We explained during the budget vote address that the blended finance model involves the mixing of grants and loans with the aim to lower the cost of capital for borrowers, increase access, and improve chances for the survival and sustainability, especially for early-stage enterprises that require lower gearing and patient capital. By adopting a blended funding model, CIFA will in effect strengthen SMMEs' capital structures and consequently increase their chances of sustainability. Further, the blended funding model will enable leveraging of CIFA's funding to achieve higher development impact through the crowding in of investment to SMMEs. CIFA, together with the Department of Small Business Development, other government entities, and the private sectors are utilizing the grant or incentive offerings to embed the blended funding model that will directly benefit SMMEs across the funding. In brief, the model entails availing capital to SMMEs in a manner that combines debt funding, which attracts interest on the loan amount dependent on the risk profile of each SMME, and is blended with conditional grant funding. And I must repeat, conditional grant funding. The emphasis is on conditional. And this is a grant, therefore it is not going to attract capital interest on capital. But the capital is not repayable only if the SMME meets the set conditions for the grant. If the SMME does not meet the conditions, the grant portion will have to be repaid, because it will be abuse of our process, and we will be failing in terms of our duty to maintain the tasks and the mandate that we said will achieve as a community. The two main criteria for access to be considered for blended finance are that the SMME must create or maintain a minimum of 10 jobs. The jobs created must be sustainable, that is, the jobs must be created must remain in existence for a continuous process, a continuous period. So you cannot hire a person after 6 months or a year or 2 years, you release them because you've already received the funding. Is that we want that person to remain in the job because our aim is to create jobs. In the past few weeks, South Africa received a mixture of good and bad news. I prefer to remind us about the good news first, which relates to the second South African Investment Conference that was led by our president. I need not remind you that the second South Africa Investment Conference attracted investment commitments of over 364 billion rands into our economy, with a potential to create over 400,000 jobs once the projects are implemented. In addition, the investments announced at at the investment conference include commitments for SMMEs to participate in the value chains of the big businesses. At the very conference, I participated in a panel discussion on SMMEs and startups, where I engaged with very innovative young entrepreneurs whose products and models of businesses are game changers in the economic sectors that they are participating in. That engagement strengthens the view that young people of our country are the future, and initiatives to support them must be intensified. The bad news reached our country through the third quarter labor force survey, a report of Statistics South Africa that indicated an increase in official unemployment rate by 0.1 percentage point to 29.1% compared to the second quarter of 2019. This effectively meant that the number of unemployed persons increased by 78,000 in quarter 3. The Department of Small Business Development is part of the cluster of departments tasked with a collective responsibility to address the triple challenges of inequality, poverty, and unemployment. Our contribution in this regard is through our work to support SMMEs as the ultimate creators of jobs. During my budget vote address, we announced the intention to support at least 100,000 young entrepreneurs who will be funded through the Small Business and Innovation Fund, the SBIF, over the next year. The SBIF aims to promote and facilitate funding of entrepreneurship and innovation in key industry sectors and enhance financial inclusion by increasing access to finance for enterprises owned by targeted groups, that is women, young people up to the age of 40, township and rural entrepreneurs. The Small Business and Innovation Fund is a unique fund that is meant to mainly address the particular gap in the funding landscape. The fund targets underserviced SMMEs in the early stages of the business development cycle, but it also includes funding for business expansion, and it provides a range of financial instruments beyond what SIFA can ordinarily offer. For early stages of the business life cycle, the SBIF will target funding for ideation, proof of concept, early stage market entry or commercialization, and business scaling up. A range of financial instruments will include debt, quasi-equity, mezzanine, and conditional grants. The SBIF distribution is aimed at achieving both provincial and district representation. We are aware that to deliver on large numbers of successful startups, we require partners, and therefore SBIF makes provision to fund partners, that is incubators. But the partners must meet a set criteria which include having a minimum of 3 years relevant track record and demonstrate an ability to leverage additional funds from private funders. They must have systems, processes, and credible loan administration system in place with a solid pipeline of SMMEs. The funding must meet developmental impact targets, and they must be compliant to the CEDA general guidelines and standards for incubators and enterprise development. Our view is that enterprise development and incubation cannot just be done willy-nilly. There must be standards and guidelines and must be targets set for both incubators and those who claim or who want to participate in the enterprise development stage, so that we can have the necessary impact to change the ownership structure of our economy and the ownership pattern of our economy. For individual SMMEs to qualify for SBI funding, one must be a South African citizen, and I must repeat, a South African citizen. There must be a registered entity with a fixed physical address. It must be registered within South Africa. It must be compliant to all other legislation that applies to companies in our country. It must have a business plan that meets the funding requirements of CEDA loan application criteria and be the majority shareholder and the owner-manager of the business. SIFA has commenced to approve the application for funding with a target to have approved 450 million on the SBIF and 560 million across the other SIFA funding instruments by December 2019. which translates to a total of 1 billion approvals and at least 70% disbursements of that amount by December 2019. To date, SBIF approvals sit at 100 million, covering the provinces of the Eastern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal and Western Cape. And they are targeting to create or maintain 7,570 jobs from those SMMEs who have been approved. Through the total SIFA allocations, including the SBIF, that will collectively amount to 11.5 billion rands over 5 years. We are planning to fund at least 590,000 SMMEs, which we project we will be able, through them, to create or maintain 665,000 jobs. However, if we can leverage an additional 10 billion rands over the 5 years, we should be able to maintain or create 1 million jobs. As we have made job creation one of the key indicators to our funding and support for SMMEs, one of our key indicators of our funding and support for SMMEs, we should be able to announce the split in the year end of our annual report. What amount, how many jobs have we maintained through the funding and how many new jobs have we created? That data will be able to provide for us to trace the impact on the unemployment within our country. As we announce these measures, we are aware that there will be challenges, and we will respond swiftly to whatever challenge we face. But what is important is that we have started. We are focused on the goal. We are ready for the criticism, but we are inspired by the former President of the United States, President Winston Churchill, who counseled us that you will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks. Thank you. Let us grow the economy together.